Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan Kohut, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Ivan Temelkov, the CEO and Chief Human Officer at Razor Sharp Digital, a human-centric digital marketing agency. His agency focuses on humanizing business by leveraging emotional engagement, multi-channel marketing, and conversion architecture to help brands build authentic digital footprints. Ivan's mission is driven by empathy and ethical business practices, emphasizing human-to-human connections in a fast-paced digital world. We're excited to dive into his entrepreneurial journey and innovative approach that sets Razor Sharp Digital apart. Ivan, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Thanks, Milan. Pleasure to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Pleasure to have you, man. Anytime. Absolutely. Okay, let's dive in. I always love to start at the very beginning. So please go ahead and take me back in time before you even started this company and just share a little bit of your story and eventually what motivated you to start this company.
Wow. First of all, thank you for the question. And I will say this, we're going to go with the Cliff's Notes version answer, because if we were to go with the full blown, I might have to write a couple of chapters in a book. So take it back a little bit. I want to touch upon my early beginnings. So I was born and raised in Bulgaria. My father actually immigrated to the United States over 30 years ago. At a very young age, I was 9 years old when my father immigrated. I didn't get to see my father for a little over 3 years. He was in the United States. My mother and my sister were going through the immigration process. And during that 3 year period, I would talk with my father via rotary phone, if some of you actually remember that, back in the day, every Sunday. Now, during that period of 3 years, my father worked 3 full-time jobs, literally around the clock. He barely slept in order to be able to create what I believe he has done is to pave the path for a future for his family, which is probably one of the greatest blessings that I think I've ever had. So during that time period, a very young age, I've always been very driven, very motivated, very competitive, a creator, you should say. But when you're young, none of that stuff really materializes. It's just wishful thinking. When we moved to the United States, which was 1994, later became a naturalized citizen, I took a strong interest into the internet. So my father, when we moved here, actually owned a small, locally owned pizza joint. So naturally, in the immigrant path is everyone in the family participates to build a business, right? It's just like the natural thing. So when I was 14 years old, when I would get off the bus after school, I would spend the rest of the evening working at the pizza shop. So learning about the nuances of business. So how to make the product, how to make the dough, customer service. Now, somewhere in between there and the downtime that I had, I was one of those kids that mom and dad are cleaning up. I'm going to be over here dismantling this CRT monitor and computer that they have, because I'm the only one in this building that hasn't any idea how to operate it. And so that's what I did. And so at a very young age, at the age of 14, I developed a very strong interest around the internet back in the dial-up internet days, all the way through high school, where I spent most of high school, I think, sitting on America Online and chatting with people online and learning about dial-up internet, later learning about how to build websites, social media, MySpace days. And I just developed a passion around this. And little did I know that it was the beginning of a career in the marketing space. And little did I know that I believe this was something that was second nature for me. I have done so many great things throughout my career. They're endless and endless. I've taught at a collegiate level. Mind you, I'm someone who barely graduated high school and dropped out of college. Someone who has built curriculums, someone who has built, as we talked a little bit about before recording, 2 years ago, a multi-million-dollar company in a completely foreign industry, a podcast that has interviewed some of the most successful people in the world. Grant Cardone, Forbes Riley, Elena Cardone, you name them, they've all been on my podcast. And I'm talking 8 years ago at this point. It's not even recent. So I guess, as an entrepreneur, I think entrepreneurs are a different breed. They are naturally born. We are natural born creators where we're risk takers. We risk everything. And
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start that story because there's so much. Because I've gone to multiple six figures to door dashing and back again. So I understand the incline and the downcline of building a business. It's very unlike of what on social media and in the digital space. In fact, 99% of the stuff that you hear online about building a business is not the actuality of building a business. I'm talking for years, you work 10, 12, 14-hour days with no end in sight, no knowing what tomorrow will bring. And in a way, it's sometimes it can feel like a lost hope. But us entrepreneurs, I think,
Mhm.
are driven by that. We're driven by the curiosity. We're driven by the tension. And of course, in the midst of that is I'm also now a triathlete at the age of 45. That's a passion that I've developed in endurance sports as well, which kind of morphs into my business a little bit about the human side of doing business, which when you mention human marketing and human centricity, up until 4 years ago, I actually owned that organic term on Google. If you search for human marketing agency worldwide, Razor Sharp Digital will come up. Now, what do marketers do? They see the next hottest thing that's trendy and they go after it and they squeeze the most out of it until you're done with it. You've probably seen this on LinkedIn. Every marketer is now an AI expert and a chat GPT
Yeah.
expert. And that's just what happens. But at the end of the day, I think we are in the biggest revolution of history where the actual doers and the imitators are about to be separated from a business standpoint. At the end of the day, can you do what you say you can do? Over 50% of marketing agency can't do that. They make empty promises. And I know this because I spent 12 years in the agency world. I was always the guy behind the scenes, creating the campaigns, executing, implementing, managing, running the teams. So I understood what took place. So I guess at a very young age, to wrap this up on the intro, is I've always been curious about tech in the business world. And a lot of what I've learned, to be honest with you, over the last 25 years was a crash course and an MBA on Google. That was literally it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously you got to take a step towards getting the experience. That's the best kind of school that you can go through. And also, you mentioned a lot of things that I would definitely love to touch on and go deeper into. But one of the things that I really have to say is that when you helped us paint the picture of who your father was and how hardworking he was, I feel like that's something that you carry with yourself also, which is great
Yeah.
to see. So amazing, beautiful, awesome. Ivan, let's switch to the current business. Let's switch to what you do. Who is your ideal customer and what does it actually look like to work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Current customers are small businesses. When I say small businesses, I have worked all the way up to $25 million clients that I've had in the past in the manufacturing space, in the transportation space, also, which are two of the main industries that I have a lot of experience in over the last probably 5 years. All in all, Razor Sharp Digital was literally on a temporary hold between 23 and 25, 2023 and 2025, because at the time I was focusing as a partner in another business in another industry. So this was in a hold. And right now, it's been in a rebuilding phase over the last 5 months, I should say. So there's a lot of rediscovering, I should say, because the market has changed. A lot of industries have changed also. Obviously, with the evolution of AI and robotics, all of that has changed. Tech has changed a lot. But all in all, ideal customer is small business owner. I also actually just signed up someone in the telehealth industry, which is completely new. But ironically enough, I relate to that as an endurance athlete. So what I found is that the relatability as an individual, from a personality and character standpoint, is the best way to attract your ideal customers because you have relativity, right? And as
Mhm.
we say in business, we do business with who we like and trust. So it's people who are into personal development. I also have a client who runs a multi-million dollar volleyball club here locally. And that's a client of mine. And the reason he's a client is because We resonate on personal development, on fitness, and that's something that we cross pollinate on. So, small business owners, I'm looking to venture out eventually, but right now it's in a rebuilding phase. So, I'm working with the smaller visionaries. Like I said, I literally this morning had a call with actually my former nurse practitioner that got me going about 2 years ago into a healthier journey. And I'm talking supplements and things of that nature, more of a functional medicine type of thing. And she's
Hmm.
actually looking to build a telehealth business in the state of Florida because she moved from the state of Missouri to the state of Florida because she actually used to race horses professionally. And so that's an ideal environment for her, but we have a lot of relatability. She worked with me, she knows me who I am, she knows me as a person, she likes me, she knows she can trust me. So telehealth, transportation, manufacturing are the ones that I'm trying to tap into. Construction also. My father's business actually is a multi six-figure business is in the construction space. So I have a lot of experience over the last 2 decades because back in 2015, 2016, in 1 year, I helped scale that business from 250,000 to over 500,000 in gross revenue. At the time, right before COVID hit, we had 7 full-time employees, which were installers primarily in a construction industry. When I say human centric, is what is it like working with Razor Sharp Digital? We become your best friend, literally. And when I say best friend, is we're shaking hands, hugging babies, we're having dinners and brunches. That's literally how business is done because I've been fortunate enough that about 4 years ago, when I was in California to visit my at the time trucking client, who was an $18 million company, female owned. She had 142 trucks at the time. Now they've scaled drastically because the unfortunate downfall of that was that Amazon was their biggest client, who was paying about $250,000 per month to move freight. But Amazon is restructuring and reinventing themselves with electric vehicles and electric trucks, so they no longer have the dependability on freight when they're building it in house. But something that she said to me, she said, most people don't understand that in order to build a real business is to be real with people, as in real. Like we working with Razor Sharp Digital is I want to get to know you, not just your business. I want to get to know you. You tell me what you do on the weekends. You tell me what you do when in closed doors, when people are not watching. Why is that important?
Yeah.
Is because that is a correlation to their business. Even if it's just the CEO of a $20 million business. What you do behind closed doors is the definition of who you are as a person, and that is the extension of your business.
Yeah.
That's why we have our core values as well. I call them the 10 commandments because when I align with different clients, I look for, okay, do you have integrity? Can I trust you? Can you be accountable? Can you be transparent? Also, if you don't, because the reality of things is most clients that I've worked with in the past, in the earlier years, and even in the agency days, they don't have core values. They don't believe in ethical business. They say they do, but they don't. And I think that's what's happening in the marketplace right now is so many of these businesses are struggling because they never spent the time to create proper brand positioning. I'm talking mission statement, vision statement, core values. That's why people buy you. That's why
Yeah.
Nike is
I
Nike.
love that.
That's why Tesla is Tesla. That's why Uber is Uber. That's why DoorDash, which I didn't know that DoorDash was actually born in a dorm room until recently. It was 3 guys or 4 guys who literally was like, hey, we have the munchies at 11 o'clock at night. Oh, nothing's open. So they're like, let's create this app. And then the next thing you know is they're, I think, a $3 billion business, now, and they're looking to evolve and grow. So the ideal customer and what it's like with working with Razor Sharp Digital, long-term relationships. We have no interest in short-term
Yeah.
campaigns. We have no interest in making a quick buck. And we share a lot of upfront information. If you take a look at our website, there's a plethora of education on there. And in fact, something I was looking at recently is we've grown to over 13,000 impressions. It's a 500% growth in just less than 30 days because of the awareness that we're building. And obviously, we're using AI to merge AI with human centricity, not just
Yeah.
put some random stuff out there, but to be able to attract the right type of people. So, not everyone is our client. In fact, most businesses are not our client because we look for the synergy, we look for the relationship building. I
Yeah.
personally spend a lot of time getting to know people on a personal level. I do a lot of outreach on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Messenger. I say, hey, look, give us a chance. We're different. I want to get to know you. I want to hear about your pain points. Every business
Yeah.
has a unique pain point. I personally dislike any out of the box solution. Here's option one or option two, three, or tier one, tier two, tier three, right? I don't think that works. And it doesn't work is because not every business has the same problem. And so
Very
you
true.
have to be able to address specific problems. Now, the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity, obviously. And the businesses that have big problems, so for instance, you have a revenue problem, right? Every business does. Tell me what you're doing revenue wise right now. Are you advertising on Meta? Are you running Google Ads? Are you doing thought leadership? Are you doing social media? Are you doing real time video? No, we're not doing any of that. That's why your revenue sucks, is because unfortunately, and I did a post on this on LinkedIn, it's not just about quality, it's about quality and quantity because
Yeah.
the space is so saturated. There's
Yeah, it
marketing
is.
companies everywhere, there's tech companies everywhere. They're all bidding for attention, and prospective customers, their attention span went from 7 seconds to 3 seconds. You
Yep.
literally have a couple of seconds, and I even look at analytics, and I'm like, yeah, like they went like this and just plummeted and dropped off completely because of attention span. And it's hard. It's hard to
100%.
bid for attention. So we're unlike any other marketing company. We're very specific with who we want to work with, and that's a slow burn. And that's the hard part, especially now in a rebuilding phase to scale back up, is because revenue is challenging. Obviously, cash flow is challenging, but desperation should not be a motivator by any means. I mean, it
No,
is, but
absolutely. And especially if you look at it from a bigger picture, this is what's going to give you the edge compared to all these other companies. Just like you said yourself, there's like thousands, if not tens of thousands of companies starting every single day. And this is also tied up to what you said like 10 minutes ago. All these marketing agencies that you see promoting themselves on social media, like you said, 50% of them have no idea what they're doing. And then if you compare it with the approach that you and your company chose, and truly, instead of having just this transactional relationship, but instead of that, seeking true connection with who you want to build that relationship with, yeah, that's definitely going to give you the edge. Yeah, 100% I agree. I want to ask you this question. And you started talking about, okay, what are you doing to get clients and running advertisements or just doing organic? There is a lot of people who are always curious about what someone like you, who's been in marketing for several years, actually does for in order to get new clients. So from marketing standpoint, lead generation standpoint, what does your company do to actually acquire new customers?
yeah, it's a bit of a long-winded question, honestly. A very loaded question, I should say. It has to be a combo between organic and paid. It just has to, because there's this quote. I'm gonna try not to butcher it because I haven't thought about it for a while. Is that in order to win a marathon, you have to sprint, but you also have to pace yourself. Meaning that in a marketing sense, is that the reason why organic content is so powerful still is because it helps build thought leadership and authority. Now, it also helps build consistency. I just explained this morning is that yes, Facebook and all these social TikTok and Instagram and X and now YouTube Shorts and I don't know, God knows how many other social media platforms, they're all saturated, right? But there's still a prime opportunity there from an organic standpoint because it's the perspective that you share, right? That's literally it. Is sure they can find it on Chat GPT or another marketing agency, but it's your perspective. It comes from you. And over time, when you distribute organic content, as they say, consistency is trust. That's what they look for. Do you show up every day? Not the algorithm, it's your prospective customer. They see you. They might not acknowledge, they might not like, they might not comment, they might just view because it's already very saturated, but they are paying attention and they are
Yeah.
taking note. You know what? A razor sharp digital shows up in my stream every single day, consistently. Consistency is trust. If you're willing to be consistent in that regard, then they're getting the sense of trust. And if they're getting that, then they're getting closer down through the funnel awareness, interest, intent, purchasing, right? So we're driving them slowly through organic. Now, back to the quote that I said is, unfortunately, it's a pay-per-play world. Platforms like Meta, they want you to spend money. In return, they give you targeted visibility. That's literally the methodology behind it. Now, there's a quote on our homepage on razorsharpdigital.com. It's probably one of my most favorite quotes besides the Steve Jobs one that I'll share in a second. But 80% is psychology, 20% is execution. That's Tony Robbins. And I 100% believe that is in marketing, really in life in general, 80% of what you do is this. That's why mindset and personal development is so important. And the Steve Jobs quote, which is my second all-time favorite quote, is those who are crazy enough to change the world are the ones who usually do.
Yeah, I
And
love
I
that
love
one.
Steve Jobs. I love what he did, what he stood for. I love the person that he was, but he was also very disliked. And that's what usually happens with leaders because leaders are disruptors, right? And
Yeah.
disruptors do not conform. They disrupt. They create discomfort. Back to what I was mentioning is what does it take? It's like I said, the saying is that you have to build a foundation like building a house. You got to build a foundation. That's the organic content. You got to put yourself out there, especially if you're a brand new business, because they're not going to come to you because you say that, hey, I sell the best donuts, but you just open up shop. Guess what? There's 20 other donut shops in town. You know, what makes you more unique than, I don't know, Krispy Kreme or John's famous donuts or whatever, right? So when you go out there on social media and you start publishing photos organically and short videos, show people what's it like to come into your store so they can get a sense and a feel for to create an expectation. And then when you get to a point that you're building a little bit of traction, then pour some gas on that fire because you're already building a fire. Pour some gas on it. Start running some ads and start slowly, ease it out. I think social media like Facebook, Meta, Facebook, and Instagram is great for top to middle of sales funnel. They're great for awareness and interest, like funny videos and cliche type of stuff. But most people don't really buy from that. They get all jazzed up. Now, the action happens in the DMs. I know that works, but that is
Yeah.
very time consuming. It requires a lot of strategy, a lot of follow up. It requires a lot of discipline. Hence, again, mindset, right? So it's a combo between organic and paid, and the way you approach it really is the successes that you've had in the past. Like now, to be honest with you, anything that I would do paid that's not Google Ads text based is run a short 1 minute video, 45 seconds on Facebook and on Instagram. Make it funny as hell because we did have one that actually went viral on Instagram. And it was like a clip from some movie that was like completely irrelevant, but being a human centric brand, I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, put something funny out there. And we gained some followers, but that was it. We gained some followers from that. We got some comments. We got a bunch of likes on it. And I think almost 60,000 views organically on it, which was great. But it did not invoke a purchase. And that's where the pay per play comes in. So I just actually recently, today, about an hour ago, added coaching to our service offering, which I'm glad you asked, because what I've realized is that earlier this morning I had a call with a new client who's building a telehealth business that I told you about. And one thing I realized is that there's a lot of small businesses that struggle with understanding the process. They struggle with the education of, they know, oh, I need to do paid media and I need to blog and I need to do email marketing and oh, I need to do SMS marketing. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. That's all great stuff, but let's not put the cart before the horse, literally, because you're trying
Yeah.
to make leaps and bounds before you've built the foundation. Like Gary Vee is one of my all-time favorite marketers, and I relate to him because he's a fellow immigrant. He's built Wine Library, VaynerMedia, and a bunch of other successful companies, and worked with a bunch of celebrities. And he talks about that too, but it's really psychology. It's like you can ask people to buy from you before you've shown them something, giving them something, give them some value, build some rapport with them on a personal level. I'm not talking just, hey, I'm building rapport just so you can open up your wallet and give me your credit card number or your checking account, right? No, I'm talking
Yeah.
build personal rapport with them. I'm in the DMs constantly on those stories, and I'm like, hey, man, that was a great workout, man. By the way, I didn't know that you own a printing company. It's a $10 million printing company. It's the owner of it that I follow on Instagram. And eventually, what happens is they reach out to you and they're like, hey man, I checked you out. I really like you, man. We've had good conversations. I feel like I can relate to you. Bam. That's when the opportunity comes in. But a lot of small businesses, they're trying to push, they're trying to force, they're trying
Yeah.
to sell. And if there's anything I learned about sales is that don't sell. That's literally it. Sales is not selling. Give people value, get to know them, have some drinks, which I don't drink alcohol anymore, but shake some hands, hug some babies, have a lunch, get to know them for a little while. Show
Yeah.
them that you're different than everybody else. And what does that do? One, it attracts an ideal customer. Two, it's the beginning of a long relationship. And three, almost 100% retention. It's a no brainer, literally, because they like you. As long as you have
Absolutely.
something in common on a personal level, they're not going to go anywhere else. I'm a cyclist, right? And I'm a runner, I'm a swimmer. So I talk to a lot of endurance athletes also. But a lot of these guys own businesses, successful businesses, right? So before I know
Yeah.
it, I'll be like, yeah, so how's business going? We just busted out a bike ride. How's business going? And before you know it, we're having a business convo. Next thing you know is they're like, hey man, I hired this marketing company that I paid $10,000 to do something. It's 3 months later and I have no idea what they've done. They haven't even sent me an email. I'm like, what? You paid 10 grand, zero communication, 90 days. And this is why the marketing industry has gotten such a bad rap. And I
Yeah.
see it every day on LinkedIn specifically, every day. Here's a prime example. There's someone that I saw in my feed that was talking about SEO and said, oh, we just ranked this law firm for best law firm in New Jersey or something. And they're on page one of Google. I'm like, that's great. Do you have any attribution to this? How many sales has it generated? Is there actually search volume behind this? Just because it's best doesn't mean that people are actually searching for it. The client is clueless because I remember in my days of doing law firm marketing, that was literally it. These attorneys and law firms don't care. They just want best of everything. I want to be out there. I want to be seen.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, but that's not necessarily attributing to revenue. Not to mention is because of limitations and resources and technology, you can't attribute organic to sales directly. The only way you can do it is if you run an e-commerce platform and you sell a product like a Shopify. And even
Yeah.
then, there's limited data to that. And I did a post about this actually this morning or yesterday on LinkedIn about it to explain that get educated. Work with someone who's going to spend the time to educate you up front and tell you. And literally by doing that, it builds thought leadership, it builds authority, it builds credibility, and they ask me to work with them because I've given them
Yeah.
so much like this one on one. And that's what differentiates us from all the other marketing companies.
Absolutely, man. I'm actually very happy that with your answer, you also dabbled into the sales side of things because I was going there next. But I
Yeah.
absolutely agree with everything you said. And also, it's really important to all those business owners to realize that the combination that you said between running ads on social media, but also posting organic content, this is a way for you to give your audience a chance to relate to you, which is very important. You said it yourself. The audience have to relate to you. They need to feel the connection. That way you can build trust and actually spark up that interest. Yeah, absolutely love it. Just to respect your time, I'm gonna give you the last lightning question. And this is one of my favorite questions ever. But if you could travel back in time, magically snap your finger, sit across the table from yourself, but yourself from maybe 10, 15 years ago, what would be the best piece of business advice that you would give yourself?
Take big risks. I've there's been several instances in my life, personally and professionally, where as the saying goes that the opportunity is on the other side of fear. And when I say risk is I'm talking you risk everything. Every penny you have to your name, you risk it all. Like you're on the blackjack table. It's all or nothing, literally. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about fictitiously. I'm talking about it's all or nothing. As in, if you don't win this opportunity, that you're walking home and the lights might
Yep.
not be on. You might not have food on the table. That's what I'm talking
No
about.
back doors open. You're fully
Nope.
all the way in. Yep.
Nope. That is probably the biggest piece of advice.
I love that.
Honestly, not even 15 years ago. It probably will go back to, so I'm 45 now. I would say 31 years ago. Honestly, if at that time I had pulled the trigger on several crazy ideas, like literally just went on it, regardless of what anybody thought, regardless of what my parents, friends, acquaintances, kids at school said, I would probably be a billionaire today because that is what, if I look at guys like Elon Musk, who he didn't really necessarily have a bad childhood or even growing up. A lot of people actually didn't know that he rode around in a Rolls Royce. His family was fairly well off, but it was the risks that he took and how he invested from when he sold PayPal and dumped every single dollar that he had, every single penny into what now is SpaceX and Tesla, the Boring Company, obviously, as well. So I would say risk. And
Yeah.
everybody talks about risk in the entrepreneurial world, but honestly, in the 30 years, I've maybe met less than one handful of people who actually do that.
Yeah.
As
It's
in,
scary,
they,
man. It's scary. But at the end of the day, that's what it takes. I definitely agree with you. You definitely have to step out of the comfort zone and take the step. And like I said, no back doors open. You're all the way in or nothing. Yeah, man. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. So, Ivan, a huge thank you to you for taking the time and speaking with me today. And if somebody wanted to reach out to you, connect with you, perhaps even work with you, what is the best way to go about that?
honestly, the business website is razorsharpdigital.com. Everything around the business is there. I also have a personal website, which is my name, ivantemelkov.com. Has my story, my podcast on there, which is released on weekly basis on Mondays as well. Stories as well. I recently published my experiences with the triathlons as well. So there's a lot on there. There's a video about me also on there. So ivantemelkov.com and razorsharpdigital.com are the two websites. Beyond that, I'm on just about every social media platform, to be honest with you.
Awesome.
So that's the best way. Reach out, DM, comment, whatever works. I'll definitely see it. And I thrive on conversations with like minded
Awesome.
people.
Awesome. Perfect. So just a quick recap, ivantemelkov.com, and also the agency is razorsharpdigital.com.
Yes.
Perfect. Now, for our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you the same way as it did to me, be sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And if you're a business owner, more specifically a coach, consultant, or an agency owner, and you really want to scale your business and enhance your sales and marketing, definitely visit closers.io to see how exactly we took our own company from zero to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing, and I'll see you on the next one.